throw it out.
The power of surprise, man. Bringing some confetti to the action and really pulling it off. Now, going into game number 2, I do want to note that in the first draft, we actually did not see a Medivh ban against ADRD, which is very typical on most teams. They come in and just ban it straight out. Hopefully, game number 2, if Expert did scout that, we'll be able to see that Medivh come out again. It's been a while since we've seen ADRD on his favorite hero.
It's mostly a map issue as well. I don't think on this map they were really too worried about it. But we have seen a lot of bans against Medivh on the side of the playing Ducks when Sport Billy really showcases it. But also for ADRD. When we're going back on Tomb of the Spider Queen, maybe even on Battlefield of Eternity, on Infernal Shrines, it's way more likely that Dignitas will at least consider banning Medivh out against them.
As you should. Mouthfeel also on the table for our teams to continue to go down those routes and see all these new heroes coming out and being in the mix. Been a lot of fun so far. I actually want to see Expert try and pull off a Diva composition. I really want to know what they can do because I love how they take team fights and they have one of the strongest warriors in the HGC right now that can help set those up.
Yeah, it would actually be fun to see them with the Diva. Any hero that we don't see too often in the hands of Expert is usually a pleasure to watch. So I'm just waiting for them showing something that we haven't seen in ages.
The one team that can pull off the Butcher.
It was the Zool already, so it was a glimpse. It didn't work out, but maybe they have more prepared.
All right, well, Battleground 2 is ready to go for our teams. Will we see those Divas? Will we see the Butcher? Will we see maybe some Mouthfeel action? It's going to be Towers of Doom for our teams, so there is a good indication that we'll be seeing Abathur, whether it's a ban or a pick.
I would say that you ban him out on the map now, but overall, when we're looking at Towers of Doom, that's definitely one of the maps where we could see an ADRD special. We have seen them with some wonky push strategies on the map, so that has a chance here.
We've seen them with Chromie on this Battleground too. They are willing to pull out different stops here to put their opponents on the back foot. Dignitas, though, they're pretty good at stopping most cheeses, except for when Fnatic pulls it off with the Chen. So, Towers of Doom being the pick up here. It is going to be the pick for Dig, so it does mean that Expert wants to get that first pick.
Think about the Vikings as well. We have rarely seen them on the side of the Experts, but ADRD at one point played them. And the first thing that happened after ADRD played the Vikings here is that other Vikings players that we have in the European scene immediately complimented him on Twitter, saying that was really inspirational, seeing how he plays with them. He had a bit of a different spin onto the build, what he was trying to accomplish on the map. So he was really strong with them. And it's one of the things that they don't throw out all the time when they're playing on Towers of Doom, but it's something they can do if they see an opportunity.
For you at home that do play the Vikings, all 4 of you, and if you're asking what kind of variation did we see, it's the Balog split push build. We saw a lot of split pushing happening from ADRD, built into the talents at 1 and 4, and just continued to push in that top lane. And it was such a nuisance that eventually teams just started giving up on that bell tower on the top left and hoped they could win team fights. And it was a little bit too much pressure overall, and it's a great way to play this Battleground if you're trying to mix it up and your opponent doesn't have the wave clear or the global rotations.
There's definitely a lot of different ways how you can play with the Vikings, and normally at the beginning they are more so about the experience. So if you have with Balog, if you're speccing more into him, you have a lot more wave clear on the hero and you have real push power. So if everyone focuses on bell towers or altars at the bot lane, you all of a sudden have the top lane to yourself and can push that in hard and threaten bell towers on that lane. But again, it is something that we have seen from the Experts. It's not something they all the time throw it out. They played a lot rarely compared, a lot less often compared to what we see from, let's say, Team Liquid.
And that's why we like Expert. They are not predictable. I think the most predictable thing you can say about Expert is Bad Benny likes a Nubarak. Yeah, well, that is the other thing you can say. So we'll see what's going to be coming here, as Expert's going to ban out Oriel themselves. Dignitas will ban out the Genji, and Expert with the first pick.
First pick for the Experts. Normally we would probably see an Uther here now on the first spot. With the Experts, it's usually a bit different. Again, you just mentioned it, Bad Benny, he loves to play as a Nubarak, and it's a high pick or high priority pick hero for them. But they go into the Uther instead, have a little bit more variety and flexibility now with him. But how is Dignitas opening here?
Typically it's been the Nubarak, but they have been really favoring that Citrus whenever they get the chance here. Wouldn't mind seeing them move into some damage in particular. The Greymane is a great option that they love to pull off with Snitch. There's also the Abathur still floating around, and Dignitas has never been shy about picking him up quick.
Yeah, Abathur is definitely a great pick on the map. The one thing, of course, that you have to consider when Abathur is taken is there is still Dehaka around. So you could go into an Abathur plus Dehaka, but the map usually doesn't warrant that. We see that sometimes on other maps where you attempt with Dehaka plus Symbiote to get kills. But overall, when we're looking at this right now, Dignitas, if they pick Abathar, have to be afraid of experts going into a Dehaka and trying to hunt him down. So that makes it a bit tricky. But again, you said Anubarak, he is still around. They could head into, again, an attempt to go double support, and that's what we're actually seeing. Double support with Tassadar starting the lead here, and an Illidan. So they are really trying to ride the momentum train with a melee assassin.
Dignitas has really been on this train for a while now. They've punched a few tickets for sure. Azalea just bringing in the hunt consistently, always being on that split push. Very Dehaka-esque in terms of control, but always jumping into the fight when need be, and they know how to lock down a target. I want to say it's probably the biggest thing that we've seen in the last, I don't know, 8 weeks from our top 3 teams is that execution when it comes to kills, they have gotten crisp, and they have gotten on point with making sure that if they pick a target, that target is usually dead.
Yeah, and one of the ways how you can start to interrupt that is also with a good Cocoon trying to pressure Illidan a bit more. There's several ways now. First of all, with Uther, you have the Divine Storm that you can take. After 16, as we said, the Benediction double stun that it allows you is great. And they go into a Dehaka plus Anubarak. So Isolation is now a potential tool for Dehaka if they want to focus on locking down the Illidan. And with Anubarak, they have the Cocoon available to them. So this is really solid. And it also means that they have their solo laner also set up for the top lane. So that Malthael that we have been talking about, that Expert has been running this weekend already, is becoming less likely.
Yep, and now Dehaka can follow that Illidan around when Illidan goes for the hunt. Typically, it's going to be the Illidan going first and Dehaka afterwards nowadays, because if Dehaka goes first, Illidan has the choice to continue pushing if they think their teammates can live through it and kill a turret or a fort, because they can burn down the opponent's structures pretty quickly. So Dehaka at least here to mirror that Illidan. All about the bans now for Dignitas. What do they want to take away? Typically, we've been seeing the Vala Robation bans here against Team Expert. They've run that pretty well, but also the Greymane is still up for grabs.
Greymane is also still around, yes. It's another hero that Dignitas could actually pick if they wanted to.
True.
We have seen that heavy engage into backlines already, where you poke with Greymane first before you jump in. But first of all, the Abathar is banned out, and we have already good targets on Dehaka and Anubarak, but there's always a chance that Greymane and Abathar comes into play, and then you have a double Greymane jumping into you. So they're trying to get rid of that first. The experts with Stitches just banning out the JPL special, knowing exactly about the strength that JPL has on that hero. And after experiencing it again on Sky Temple, our last map, they just said, all right, we've learned our lesson, we've had enough.
Bakery, it's not the time to hook here. As Anubarak has been taken by Team Expert, Dignitas, what are you going to grab here?
Was that a Breaking Bad reference?
It was a Breaking Bad reference. That's actually what I'm doing now. I am actually just, for the rest of the entire HGC, just calling JPL the one who hooks. Just like the one who knocks. Straight up, man. He is,
I like it. I like it.
For the rest of this entire phase, Breaking Bad, Walter White.
Okay, he's the one who hooks. I like it. Okay, double pick for Dignitas. So they still need their main healer. They also need a frontliner. Main healer is likely to be Rega with what we are seeing so far. Banned out and taken. The Tassadar plus X. Frontline, they have still a lot of options here. We know that Muradin was oftentimes a great pick on the side of JPL, but they go into Varian instead. Okay, so the Rega, as expected. Varian also taken. It's a little bit more cheese safe what they have now. Varian is great to lock anything down that is in his path. Misses out on a bit of the wave clear.
I think Varian's kind of lost out in the hard engage with Uther being around most of the time, but he's still great at Anubarak dives, and they come in and locking him down and turning the fight around on your opponent. So the Varian now in the rotation, this does leave them up to move into the assassin that they would like to have in terms of ranged. If it's someone that doesn't, if they don't get enough support, Team Expert, there's always a Lennar option that you can move into. Ball is still a safe option too.
I wonder what Dignitas is picking on the last slot for a simple reason. We know that Mena has been playing quite a bit of the support now, that they are heading more into double support. But if they plan on putting a mage into play, let's say Liming for example, which is traditionally a hero that we oftentimes see with Illidan, over a Vala potentially, then we could actually see someone else on the second support and Mena playing the hero here. And here we have Liming already taken together with the Anubarak, so already on the side of Dignitas, they only have Tassadar to burn on the Cocoon heavily. Medivh has been taken, you've been asking for him earlier.
We get him now.
Yeah, experts.
Seems like Greymane. Oh, it's going to be Lennar. Lennar's going to be the choice.
Okay, not going into Mage, they have the Lunara. We've basically seen two main heroes with the Illidan compositions, Vala and Lunara. and at times a Greymane or Li Ming. So we have for towers a pretty solid draft here for the both of them. Again, of course, a high focus on the double support for Team Dignitas. And at this point, it seems as if Expert just says, yeah, we can deal with that, that's fine.
Yep, Expert in a spot to disengage and engage with MD gives them lots of options against Lenara and the Illidan. If they decide, all right, my teammates are getting a bit poisoned, Uther can't quite keep up, they can make the call to move away from the fight. And then at the same time, Illidan, if he overextends, you drop the Leyline Seal and turn around and focus that Illidan. So right now, both teams looking pretty strong here. Dig is in a comfortable spot, it looks like. The Lenara is a bit different for them overall, but I expect them to really show off that play anyways.
Yeah, I'm curious for this one now. The last game was a bit of it was an experiment. Experiment is not really cutting it. I mean, they had a strategy that they felt confident in winning with, but it was still something where they said, all right, this is new. Let's see what we can get with this. Practicing is, of course, one thing. Then applying it against a strong team like Dignitas is quite another. But right now, they're falling back on a bit more comfortable territory that they know, especially with the Medivh. And I want to see if they can play around that Illidan well enough to bring home a victory.
Yeah, typical play here from Team Expert. And for the most part, they definitely have the setup for the Dehaka, the Uther lockdown. Divine Storm is great here. Isolation has been used often against the Illidan compositions. Go for the lockdown. I am a bit fearful for Li Ming to get the full damage off. Sometimes you need that setup. But we'll see how it goes here as we're ready for game number 2, Towers of Doom. Expert facing off against Dignitas. Can the mad scientist bring enough, or will Team Dignitas shut them down?
The second game is starting up, and Dignitas has taken the lead in the series. We see them to the left here on Towers of Doom with Snitch on Bambi, JPL on Varian, Zelia on Illidan, and Rega played by Bakery. As Mene finds himself on the second support once again, he's playing Tacita.
On the right side, in the red, it will be Team Expert. Bad Benny will be on the Anubarak, Herson on Uther, Nick on Li Ming. Gonna have a thorough play in Dehaka and ADRD on the Medivh. And this win in particular is pretty important for Dignitas. They would love to come out here with a 3-0 on Expert, especially what they're showing on Friday with the good guys. I know Bakery in particular, he mentioned in his interview, was not expecting to go to a Game 5 against them, hoping to have the experiments come out and do pretty well. Today would be a statement for them with this new lineup, this new way they're trying to upgrade their entire unit if they were able to shut down Expert.
Every map matters. Map wins are extremely important, and therefore Dignitas would love to take 3 without dropping a single one. But the Experts, they have other plans. Zelia up at the top is being harassed slightly by ADRD together with Dehaka, and we're having the rest of the team just rotate, having the bot lane completely pushed out and now transitioning into the middle. So this is definitely going to be one of the games where we have to watch out for Illidan. We have seen already in past games how much Lunara can dish out in damage once that she gets the space that gets created by Illidan. But Expert knows this too. And especially with good portals, they could always make sure that they are getting out of harm's way.
Yeah, for me, I'm expecting Team Expert to be a little bit on the hyper-aggressive side in the early game. I mean, look at the composition for Dignitas. Their early game, Illidan, Lenara, and Varian. These are all heroes that you expect to do pretty well post-10. Level 13, level 16. So Dignitas, while they do have some decent control, Expert should have some wiggle room. Move forward, invade your opponent, sit on top of that Rhaegar and try and get kills.
Triple Altar active on the map right now, and let's see what the teams are going to be able to pull off here. Who's going to take the double? We already have a camp taken and nicely timed, but the Expert expects it and goes in for the invade. And with Illidan at the top and not having the hunt available yet, the camp is stolen away. And this is actually really cool that we see this, because for like a few months earlier, what we've seen is the teams not really caring about those camps at all at the start. Now we are transitioning into a period where it's so common to take your Zappa camp before the altars are activated that Expert is just blindly invading it, since they are saying Dignitas is definitely on it right now, so let's make sure that we are going to disrupt them.
Yeah, this definitely became a thing around week 5 of HGC Phase 1, as we're going to have Team Dignitas rotating in. They're looking for a 5-on-5. They're already low, though. Mene in particular getting chunked by this Li Ming, and Mene will fall as Nick will start to get some resets. Zelia has to escape, and the Altar should be able to go over to Expert.
Yeah, they change even the channel here, but a lead in experience and also in momentum for Experts as they are starting to take control over the early game. Now, of course, that is to a certain amount to be expected, but if they get another kill against JPL, that would be great. Body blocks are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Really great here. second kill, and that's a staggered death. So they are pushing the envelope, and they are going for the first structures in the game here.
Really good control there by Expert. Getting the body blocks and also not working those auto attacks to make it harder for that W to become available for that variant.
Let's put this in perspective. We are looking at Towers of Doom. It is a map where oftentimes teams are willing to forego early altars because they are saying it's a very forgiving map in the sense that you cannot attack the core. Therefore, you can't accelerate the game. You have to win through the objective, which gives team a pretty wide time frame to come back into the game. So if you play a composition that comes online a little bit later, that is totally fine as long as you don't fall too far behind in experience. Dignitas is playing a draft that will have a significant power boost after level 10 in particular, thanks to Lunara, thanks to Varian's Taunt, and of course also Illidan, who is the focus of attention of the two supports. Expert have to make sure that in the early game they get a significant lead, and they're doing very well doing it, but it's not as if Dignitas is now in a position where they either cannot win or have a very hard time coming back into this.
Exactly. This is where you get that advantage to push forward. It's grabbing these mercenary camps and having these sappers moving constantly. In terms of Dignitas' wave clear, they're actually in a decent spot. You have Illidan in the top lane, you have Rhaegar for decent clear, and then Lennar ain't too shabby herself, especially when she hits level 7. So getting sappers and pushing your opponent in pulls away their attention to where you can put pressure somewhere else, where Medivh is pushing in the middle, Dehaka in the top, eventually getting the turrets.
So for now we have 2 kills against 0, and the altars are activating again in a few. Level 7 talent has picked up by both. Master's Touch, of course. Yeah, they're working on this, as we can see here. And this is really the moment where also Lunara gains a bit of a power spike thanks to the Splintered Spear. That's a lot more damage that she can put out. Already a fight happening down to the bottom of the map as Dehaka went for the interrupt. Bakery looking once again at channeling through, but here comes the portal and the engage. They're going for Bakery. He's isolated and he is dead.
That is an expert special right there. They portal in, they jump on an opponent, they focus on a target with body blocks. Luckily for Dignitas, they got a decent trade though. 1-for-1 there as Illidan was able to soak the altar in the middle. So 1-for-1 for our teams. It is currently 32-28 in the lead of Expert as they are actually a full level ahead moving towards 10 and they're about to get a bell tower.
Expert know that they have to make something happen. The portals of ADRD enabling everything here. And they are still getting the damage in. Nick, on the other hand, is split off completely.
Yeah, he goofed.
Yeah, that was a mistake on his part. Moving too far to the top and being cut off from the rest of the team.
Especially when you're chasing Mane. Mane knows the mind of a Li Ming player.
Yeah.
He was ready to dodge that entire combo. He simply sidestepped it and turned around, applied the slow, and we had Lunara step up and apply the kills.
And that means that they could not get the bell tower yet. So if you look at the experience, even though we have 3 kills against 1, Dignitas is only 4 points behind on the core, and they have at this point just half a level that they have to catch up to for Expert. So this is good for Expert still, but Dignitas is in an experience range and a hit point range on the core, which they can easily make up for once they hit level 10 and can especially use Illidan for the hunt.
Yeah, much better situation for Dignitas than what they could have been, depending on that lone Li Ming play. It's crazy how a small misstep could really put your opponent in a spot where they can actually make something happen. A thorough scouting out Illidan in the top, Medivh's on the way, but Tassadar is aware of it, is rotating as well to make sure that Xayah does not get caught. The drag missing, actually pretty pivotal as 10's about to hit.
Yeah, that was not quite what they wanted here. They're still fighting, but I'm not quite sure if they can break through this, to be honest. Xayah is getting a bit low, and they're going in for Mena at this point, but that fight is still continuing, and it looks like Ethereum might win out after all. ADRD playing very nicely around it, putting more and more pressure onto Illidan, who has taken the hunt and even used the cooldown here.
What an odd turn of events there as that happened.
Yeah.
The isolation coming out, the hump popping up, Mana getting hit with the drag as Xayah used him as kind of the meat shield for the second. Regardless, Team Expert does walk away the sappers. We're going to have Illidan working on the hunt and get it back. And of course, with his freight, he should get it quickly. However, Tassadar being on top left will dictate that Dignitas needs to rotate up to help him out. But for now, they're fighting over this mercenary camp.
Yes, Dehaka is starting in. The camp has been stolen away and Cocoon is now used. Big question, of course, is can they capitalize on it? I don't see it happening. There comes the kill against Bad Benny, and that's a problem. Still the exchange of the bell towers that we saw, but the kill against the Nubarak. Team Expert could have walked away from it. They decided to fight, and it turns out to be a mistake as they lose their tank.
1 for 1, and a hunt comes in to get a kill there, as Team Expert is going to be losing out on their Nubrak for the moment, and this is starting to look really good for Dignitas. They have now hit their level 10 power spike. They have focus available. Look at this. They have the hunt, they have leaping strike, they have Archon as well. They can fight pretty easily here while also getting rid of an opposing team. Right now, Medivh has to make sure he is on point with these Force of Wills when that taunt comes out.
Expert would love to be a little bit farther ahead at this point, and Dignitas now has the tools that they needed. But also we're having, with the Divine Storm on the side of Uther, something that he can really use to lock the Illidan down. If they get a kill, that would be the dream. But let's find out how they're going to run these team fights. It's all about the initiation. If Expert goes in, drops the cocoon, and can drive the fight away from it, they have a really good shot at pressuring Dignitas and maybe get an initial kill. But at this point, we're still seeing the teams on dead even experience. Yeah,
I feel like Rhaegar needs to be the target of the cocoon. That cleanse coming out will try to nullify that Divine Storm that could pop out and prevent Li Ming from getting those resets. For the moment, Team Expert is going to group up as 3 again here and continue to siege from that bottom. Remember when they got this bell tower low? Now is the time to try and take it away. But with JPL being here, a taunt being available near the fort, Team Expert instantly has to pull back.
Yeah, Expert needs to be very cautious. But then again, so does Dignitas. If Zelia at the top doesn't play safe and Ethereal moves in, gets an assist by a quick portal coming through and getting 2-3 heroes up there, then Dignitas would lose one of their most crucial heroes in the setup. So both of the teams have to be really careful. And this is where especially Minimap awareness.
Yeah, Jinx, you owe me a Dr. Pepper.
Comes into play, so they need to make sure that they're not missing out on any rotation here from the Experts.
13 for both of our teams right around the corner. Curson will be delayed by the variant.
Yeah, once again, starting to jump in. Han comes in.
That's going to be it. Uther getting hit there. Zelia jumping around.
Cocoon used and immediately burned down, but here's the Leyline Seal.
Leyline Seal setting up a thorough do. Have the drag. He hits at JPL low, but the Ancestral.
Ancestral comes through. Illidan, the stun and the kill. They take it. And that's the 5 versus 4 they were waiting for.
Nick coming in with the resets. It should be enough, though, to dissuade Team Expert from moving in for a full engage here. They're going to push 4 people back, and we're going to have Uther, Curson, grabbing the altar.
Really well done by the Experts, and this time they want the bell tower. They have the stun locked down against Illidan that they were waiting for. Now they go for variant stun after stun. JPL has to protect though, and we see Experts moving away after grabbing the bell tower.
Illidan will be up though, with the hunt being up soon, and you're not fully sure when it will be up because of that cooldown being able to be pretty low. Experts gonna pop on back and retreat. And just case in point, the Illidan is available with the hunt. So Team Experts, seeing this in the top left, have to be careful about their engage.
That was really well done here by Experts in the team fight. And this is what they need more of. You need to be able to lock the Illidan down and seek out these moments where you can get the kill. Of course, Dignitas reclaims the bell tower, but it gives a bit of a time window to the Experts where they can now easily take some of the camps on the map and rotate onto the lanes to get the experience lead. It's a small one, but it's there.
This game is very close right now. I mean, we see 28-20. There's a nice lead here for Expert in terms of core damage, but any of these fights can be explosive. We saw it in the last fight. There was a moment where Dignitas was starting to walk forward here, the Ancestor healing being on point, but the Uther stepping forward with the Divine Storm just gave enough for them to instantly shut down the fight.
The 16 talent is something which will be crucial for Expert, I believe. Both of the teams are, of course, going to hit power spikes with their talent, but I feel it's much more impactful for Expert, since they will have Benediction on Uther, and that talent alone is going to make it very rough for Illidan when he dives in a bit too deep. Having the Benediction stuns come out is strong. And talking about stuns, there we go. What a perfect engage. This was beautiful. They were so in sync here.
That was incredible there. It's interesting to see the dimensional shift not coming out first there from the Tassadar. He went ahead and popped the Archon just to have the shields, but they just blew him up in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, Alta is on the map in just another 5 seconds, and Tassadar, as you can see, he's down for another 10. But that was really well done, and it's nearly a level 16 talent that Expert has now reached.
How is Dignitas going to handle this? Illidan in the top here, he'll be 1v1 against a Medivh. He should be able to call that against his team. Dehaka in the top right, that's known. Obviously, he can come in at any point, but they still need their Tassadar.
Yeah, and Dehaka is pushing away Illidan to the top left now, so we see another channel going through, and that is 2 of the 3 altars taken, and here comes all of a sudden a kill against Lunara. Cocoon has been used, a Thero tunnel down, they will hit 3 altars, and they are going full on Dignitas, trying to kill Bakery, and they get it! It's a double kill!
And they're getting more. A third here on the bottom left is Varian just trying to live, but here comes the engage. Nick getting the resets, portal out again. ADRD and Bad Benny diving into the kill zone, and they get 4 kills. Illidan by himself in the top lane, but 28-8.
It was beautiful what we saw. The engage against the Tassadar set everything up, and that was one of the best synced attacks against a single hero that I've seen in a long time. With a portal behind the wall, stun after stun coming in, and you take him down. Perfect timing as the altars are spawning. And what do we see after that? Illidan at the top left tries to channel an altar. Medivh only interrupts him, not anything more than that. Dehaka is at the top right, channels through, doesn't have to use his Z to go to the left because Medivh set up a long-range portal for him. He goes through the portal, disrupts Illidan with Medivh, they claim it, and once they channel through, Medivh just moves down to the bot lane, and this is when Expert engages. It was absolutely beautiful.
Team Expert is continuing with the disruption here as they push on the top left. They just grabbed a boss, and Team Dignitas is scrambling to get control of the battleground. The bottom left to take out the bell tower. The middle 4 is low already, and Team Expert grabbing sappers in the top. They can continue to put pressure, but this is the one spot that Team Dignitas can be okay in. When one altar spawns, Varian is in a spot where he can force a fight with an Illidan Hunt. They have to win this team fight, and they also have to make sure not to take damage from the sappers.
Yeah. Indeed. 4 points against 28, this would be an incredible comeback, but if any team can make it happen, it would be Dignitas. Expert has played fantastic though. I am in love with their coordination around the portal. Their Medivh play is probably the best that we have in HGC right now. 3 shots fired against Team Expert. They are actually willing to play this slow for 20.
Okay, are the sappers can get through on the top left here? Dehaka was pushing them in with the Thorough here. Zelia's able to go forward, and they turn around, they look at a Thorough, and they try to focus him down. The taunt came out, but the portal's enough, and ADRD will get him out. But Dignitas stops the sapper, which is the important part.
Here's the bot lane pressure on the other hand. Keep up the pressure on the lanes, and they do this really well. They can move back from this, and they should. Hunt comes in, but he cannot go deep enough because the rest of the team isn't there yet. They're trying to escape, and Medivh is on his way now too. Can Illidan block them? First stun comes out. Here comes Varian. They're trying to stop them, but the portal is in, and Bad Benny uses it immediately.
Perfect disengage there. A Thorough in the middle. Team Expert knew they could get away from the fight. Dignitas is hungry now for anything. They're trying to get any pick they can get, and Expert isn't quite giving to them. They're waiting to get 20.
This is a checkmate position. Only Expert can lose this game right now. If Dignitas wins a big team fight, takes 3, 4, 5 heroes down, they can build up the momentum to claim bell towers and maybe push the Experts in the bad spot. But the Experts are so far ahead that they are saying, guys, play it safe. Just take our global, use Dehaka to rotate and push out the top lane the entire time. We put pressure on the other bell towers when Dignitas starts to face Dehaka, when they try to counter him. But outside of that, we wait for 20. And Dignitas knows it. It's why they're going so aggressive here. They're trying to fight before the Storm talents.
And Zelia gets locked on the right side. Divine Storm will be enough. Yes, it is. Zelia falls and Team Expert charges. We have Lunara jumping out, but the ley line sealed.
Dehaka could move in, but so far he doesn't. It's still a 4 versus 4. Ancestral hits, but Benny is there. The 20s have been reached. The top, the camp has been taken. This is complete checkmate right now. Illidan is dead already. The Zephyr camp is moving through the top, and down here they're starting to fight for the bell tower. Mane needs to interrupt, but the rest of the team is still fighting.
Dignitas has to fight. They know it. Mane does get the interruption here, but it's still a 5v4. JPL is low, about quarter health here, but Snitch is full healthy. Can he get the poison spread on multiple members? Can he get a kill with the help of his team? Illidan's up in 10.
Zephyrs at the top go through, and that's Varian dead. 2 points on the core, 1 point on the core, and a Thero on the channel. Snitch moves in, interrupts him once. Illidan is back. He can hunt, but can he hunt to interrupt? I'm not so sure about that. Rhaegar goes in, Lunara dies. Dignitas is scrambling to interrupt the channels.
The Thorough is here on the side here. Hatton goes off. Bakery does get the interruption. We're going to have Zelia actually get a kill, but he just gets blown up. It's Bakery against the world with Mane on the side. He goes for one more bite. The drag comes out, and Team Expert will get the kill on Rhaegar. All they have to do is channel.
The dog is running, but he can't hide, and the channel goes through. Curson takes it. Bakery survives at least for now, the core does not. It is game as Team Experts take their victory against Dignitas on Towers of Doom.
And we've got a series on our hand here as Team Expert is looking to break into the top 3. Can they pull it off? We'll have to see. But their early game for them was wonderful. We had the small mishap there from Nick on the bottom left where he went for the all-in on Tassadar, but the control, the 3 altar phase, the 5th one in particular, was handled perfectly by Expert.
I also love the new Expert logo here. The white logo and the white background comes out really clearly. I love it.
It's nice. It really pops against the back of HGC.
Exactly. It's refreshing. I've never seen that color combination.
Yeah, I love it, man. Expert just changing the meta on logos, but also coming out and getting victories against Dignitas. And Dignitas, man, right now, they're having a bit of a rough road in the HGC.
Hashtag blame Josh, by the way.
Always blame Josh.
Yeah, so Dignitas, I mean, I wouldn't call it rough just yet. They lost the map.
Look at him. Josh is like, I gotta get this fixed. I just know, like he said in the back, panicking right now and just like hitting buttons constantly.
He's a button smasher.
We love you, Josh. You're the best.
We do. Coming back to your point, though, right now, Expert has tied the series up. Dignitas, I wouldn't really say they're in a rough spot yet. As we said, they have made adjustments that they need to get comfortable with. Overall, they had a decent showing, I feel. It's just that this time, Expert were the ones controlling the team fights much better. The way they controlled Illidan through their stuns was great. And that one kill against Tassadar, that was a work of beauty. That was... Not only the kill itself was absolutely fantastic, it was the time when they did it. It set everything up for them. It really just aligned all the stars perfectly for a victory of Team Expert. So especially a big shout out to ADRD. With that play, calling that, having the portal ready, and then everybody being on the same page as a unit, going through and getting the kill against Mena. Even at his fort, he wasn't safe. And that was absolute fantastic play.
Well, Medivh bans incoming here for Dignitas in game number 3. We'll be right back after the commercial break. This is the HGC.
Impressive. Dehaka's major strength is his ability to gank enemy heroes. Use Brush Stalker to maneuver around the map and secure takedowns. The ability can be used as a daring escape, or as a way to pin down enemies fleeing a team fight. Be aware of the ability's cooldown, and use the brush to press your advantage. Dehaka's ability to collect essence is the cornerstone of his survivability. Keep close to minion waves and participate in hero takedowns to obtain the essence you need to stay alive in team fights. Don't be afraid to activate your regeneration at half health, as Dehaka needs to stay in the thick of things to gain value from his basic abilities. The skilled use of Dehaka's drag ability will be the mark of a great player. Do your best to grab squishy assassins or healers for your team to focus down. Watch out for heroes with strong crowd control, as it can break drag's effect. If you choose to grab an enemy warrior, make sure your team is ready for the fight, as Dehaka's low damage alone may not be enough to secure a kill. Dark Swarm is Dehaka's main source of damage and a great wave clearing option. After engaging in a team fight, try your best to put pressure on grouped up opponents, as the area damage will soften them up for your teammates. Since Dark Swarm allows you to walk through units, use it to set up your positioning or to establish an escape route. Burrow can be used in numerous beneficial ways. Bait enemies into thinking they have secured a takedown, then burrow, giving your teammates time to show up and provide support. The stasis granted by Burrow can be used to dodge important abilities like Chain Bomb. Keep in mind, both Essence Collection and Dark Swarm can be used while burrowed, giving you options for a safe heal or strong area denial. If you're facing a team composition designed to support a major melee assassin, consider taking Isolation. It provides an effective way to take out enemy support heroes or to punish aggressive players. If you find that your opponents are focusing on you more than average, Adaptation might be the perfect fit. Activate Adaptation in the middle of a fight, soak up all the damage thrown your way, and heal up in exchange. Try absorbing heroics like Kael'thas's Phoenix for the ultimate value. To Dehaka, change is survival. Adapt to the enemy's tactics and reign supreme.
find that me and my friends are lost. Again! No one said it was your fault, Olaf. But if there's one thing we're good at, it's... getting lost? No, Balog, we're good at... Now what? Listen, I'm trying to say that if we stick together, there's no obstacle. Oh, no! Back up! Oh, no! Like I was saying, if we work as a team, the three of us, we can accomplish anything. Don't mess with the Vikings. That's right.
Oh, Eric, I gotta go, Ramona. Please.
Now? Couldn't you have gone before we left?
Oh.
I was once a far strider. I swore an oath to defend Silvermoon and its people to my dying breath. It was not enough. My homeland still burned. But those days are long past. And history will not repeat itself. I am Sylvanas Windrunner, Queen of the Forsaken. And if you will not serve me in this life, then you will do so in the next.
Welcome back to the Heroes Global Championship. Currently, we're watching Expert as they take on Dignitas, and it's been a pretty solid series so far. Game number 1, Expert came out with something a bit different, tried to tease Dignitas. Dignitas says, nuh-uh, that ain't happened today. And then we go into game number 2, and Expert showed up.
Yeah, they definitely did, and the team coordination was fantastic in the last game. If they can do that again in a few of the upcoming maps, that could definitely pose a problem for Dignitas. But you already said that you would expect now Medivh maybe again targeted in the bans, and that is definitely one of the ways how Dignitas could deal with that threat.
It's one of the ways that majority of teams say, okay, we're facing Expert, no Medivh. Let's try and figure out the rest of the drafts from here. Let's go ahead and figure out the battleground for game number 3, as we're currently all tied up here with a 1-1. The battleground will be BOE, and the choice is by Expert. And Expert, I love when they pick this battleground, man, because they always show something different.
Yeah, they definitely do. And they were playing really well in the last map, and this is another one where Medivh oftentimes is being played by them. And again, I'm thinking about maps where they don't play Medivh at all, and there's very, very few that come to mind.
Doesn't exist. Maybe on Pool Party Stitches. It's probably the only one they can play Medivh on.
That's the first one where I would play Medivh.
All day, every day, man.
Yeah, exactly. You just go through the portal, you have all the stitches on one side, and then you say, okay, it's playtime.
And it's playtime, man. All right, guys, BOE, let's get this started here. First ban of the game will be awarded to Dignitas, as Expert has picked the battleground.
Before the draft starts, I have to say that really quickly. If you haven't played the current Brawl yet, if you have not played Pool Party Stitches, make sure that you check it out. It's, in my opinion, by far the best Brawl that we had thus far. It is fantastic. So a huge shout out to the developers. That idea was awesome.
Yeah, and don't forget to hook someone before you go down, because it's 3 points of damage, man. It's incredibly good. Yeah. It's crazy how like advanced strategies are already becoming a thing. Like you're trying to deny damage and try to combo on people. It's so fun.
Yeah, but there's a team that doesn't want to play the pool party anymore. It is Team Expert. They already banned him once. They're banning him again. No more playtime for Stitches, and it allows Team Dignitas to head into the Uther for the first one.
So Uther has been picked up. Team Expert, what are you going to move into? Last time we saw them move into a support, and then they grabbed the Dehaka. They're going to grab Tassadar here instead on BOE, which is a good battleground for him.
Yeah. Is it a bad battleground for Tassadar?
Warhead.
Is that a thing, or did you just throw it out?
Just throw it out there. Who's going to tell me I'm wrong? Who's going to do it?
Twitter,
let me know.
Twitter and chat have you comment on that.
They got me. They'll let me know. Tassadar Ariel. So Expert brings out the double support.
great start for them here. So once again, we're having a focus on the hyper carries. Double support is the meta now. We all know it. The only team that hasn't caught up on it yet, and that's why because they don't have to, is Fnatic. They beat it quite handily every time. They're doing really well against it. And the one thing that I thought was really cool is when we saw a Malthael against the double support. So I would not necessarily want to see here, even though on Battlefield of Eternity he's great against the Immortal. But I would overall like to, for teams against double support, to maybe play around Malthael a little bit more. That level 7 talent is just so impactful if your opponent is relying on double heals. I would say even more so if the opponent does not run the Tacita as the second healer, but maybe has a combo of Auriel Uther or Auriel Rhaegar.
Yeah, I mean, we saw its effectiveness earlier when Fnatic ran it. The Anub'arak and Illidan will be picked up, but I agree with you. The more we see Malthael, the more we see double support, I expect to see more Malthael. He's not only a tank killer, to a degree, he's a support killer with Tormented Souls and that 7 talent.
To be honest, I could see him here even. Because now we're having an Uther already taken, and you have the Illidan. So there is a good chance that Dignitas says, hey, we want a second support. There's a few still floating around, and the reason why I said I want to see the Malthael more so against comps that don't involve a Tacita is simply because Tacita doesn't excel with the healing.
Yeah.
Tacita has his shields that he puts out. So the level 7 talent of Malthael really counters healing in team fights. So if, for example, the expert at this point says, hey, we still need a solo laner, who are we going for here? Malthael could be good, because once the Dignitas picks up a second support, they have a huge amount of heal for Illidan. But if we shut that down with Malthael's level 7 during team fights, we have a much better chance of locking him out and taking him apart. One of the problems that you have with it is that you are starting to really miss out on decent stuns that can lock Illidan down.
Which is pretty important. You gotta make sure you have the lockdown for that Illidan. You want that moment, that big part in the moment. Okay, we're all leaning on killing this Illidan, because usually if you can't get through that, you're gonna fall apart. Now, second ban coming out for Dignitas is looking like it might be Lunara. With double support beyond the opposing team, Medivh becomes less likely of a pickup for the team. So Lunara is a fine and dandy choice, especially when you know that there is going to be an auto-attacker picked up at some point throughout this draft.
So, the double pick for Expert. This is where they are going to reveal quite a lot. Malthael is open, solo laner would be good, even though in Battlefield we see teams occasionally now break through the established 4-1 split. So it could be that they're heading into a 2-3 split instead. But Malthael would be a good solo laner. Dehaka is open. We see that oftentimes as teams attempt to hit level 10 before their opponent does, through the side soak that Dehaka allows. But Expert also still need their frontline, and they still need a damage dealer, and that could be Vala. Vala would be a really good pick for them here with the double support that they are running.
You know, with the Anub'arak not being available for them. Varian was one that we saw a lot for Bad Betty in particular. He has a pretty decent Diablo too, but Diablo into an Illidan Uther might be a bit hard to pull off. They're going to go ahead and pick up a thorough Sonya, which is that top laner you were asking for.
Sonya instead of the Malthael. Muradin has been taken, so there we have our stuns and the lockdowns against Illidan. Sonya, of course, also excels against Illidan with the single target damage she can put into play. And we still need a range damage dealer. And right now, Dignitas could decide to pick up the Vala for themselves and then Expert. Who are you going into if they pick the Vala away now? Are you actually running this with maybe a Zul'jin even?
That's what I was thinking. Zul'jin would be the automatic go-to with the Tacita being on the field.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid in that regard. There is Sergeant Hammer, which we've seen them play in the past. Not really the most efficient use of the Auriel Hope, but she still does a decent job of giving out that damage. We'll have to see here what they're going to go for, because we still need Dig to take the Vala. If not, Vala's a sure pickup here for Expert.
Vala is one of the advantages of having Vala in your draft is that you also have a lot of pressure against the Immortal. Sonya delivers that to an extent for Experts, and they can spec Muradin even into Sledgehammer if they wanted to. It's not really the most common talent these days. Normally it's at least the perfect storm though. But Li Ming is taken, and we have Kharazim, and now I would expect that we are seeing a switch in the double support. Or is Snitch going to take over for Li Ming and Main is still playing the second support here? I think the opposite is more likely.
Yeah, I think you give Mane Li Ming. I mean, that's...
It's his most iconic hero.
Yeah,
so.
he destroys her and the KT. Like, if you don't see Mane on those heroes when they're in this roster, something feels off. Okay, Expert. The obvious choice here is the Vala. Are you going to be moving into it, or do you plan on throwing a wrench into the plans of, I guess, us up here at the commentating desk?
They are really thinking quite long about this. So Vala is definitely floating around here, but they are having another thought process. And at this point, I hope it's not Vala, because I want to see what they're thinking. It's definitely one of the heroes they're considering right now, but with them taking this much time, they have another thought here, and I want to see that. Maybe, yeah.
For Illidan Karazim?
It could be. We have seen her before in that, but they go for... Okay, Tracer. It's a little bit difficult for the Oriole to get the heals, and oftentimes it's not a point and click, so you need to make sure that you hit that. That's the reason why I was actually shying away from the Tracer in the prediction here. It definitely works if you do it well, and if you communicate well, it works, but it's a lot harder to get the heal in with the Oriole against the Tracer if you have to hit her in the middle of a team fight.
They might not even worry about trying to heal it. Say, okay, Tassadar, you keep those shields on top of the Tassadar, or the Tracer, allow for her to heal up with that lifesteal, and we're just going to keep these heals that we get from him and put it on Sonya and Muradin and let them be completely unkillable, just be in your face, and Tracer will just rely on you to just kill it. Mechanics, worst case scenario, if you need a heal, you come back to me.
Yeah. Illidan can really shine here, and the Karazim is also quite interesting. If you isolate the Muradin at any point and you get the 7-sided in, that would also be quite strong. I assume right now that they go into the 7-sided over the Palm, since they already have the Divine Shield on Uther, unless they, of course, decide that they need the stun here. Then you could just swap the two around. But yeah, solid draft, double support on both sides, and we have a tie in the series as well. But this is, of course, going to change as one of the teams will be victorious and claim a lead on Battlefield now.
Well, we're ready. Who will get that lead here? Battlefield of Eternity Expert and Dignitas currently tied 1-1. Who will step up here and continue to move forward in this best-of-5 series?
Game number 3, the tie in the series, and to the left we have Dignitas with Mena on Li Ming on his mage, JPL on an Ubrak, Zelia on Illidan, and the double support played by the UK boys, Bakery on Uther, and Snitch on Karazim.
Right side in the red, it's going to be Bad Benny playing Muradin, a Thorough on Sonya, Nick on Tracer, Kirsten on Ariel, ADRD on Tassadar, and the ping will come in for our team, so we're going to do a quick second pause here and get set up and figure out which talents we want to pick up.
Yeah, so I'm still wondering a little bit about the split that you're going for now, because you have Sonya on one hand, and that's a little bit easier to pull off than what we're seeing for Dignitas. So I could actually see that Dignitas is starting to switch the lineup a little bit and puts Illidan together with the support on the solo or the solo lane, and having the other run by 3 players. So that is actually one of the things that I could see here. Would definitely help Illidan out, would have put more pressure on Sonya, probably to an extent where experts will have to react and say, hey, we put another hero now also up on that lane. So a 3-2 split is kind of likely at this point. When it comes to the Immortal race, on the other hand, though, I think that especially Dignitas has a pretty solid stance there.
They do. They have the Li Ming poke. They have Karazim that can peel off themselves. And with Uther being here for the heals, they can afford to allow the Karazim to go off and start to burn down that Immortal. On the other side, though, you do have Sonya, who herself, if you're able to sit on the defense side, she could do pretty well at chunking out the Immortal as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm pretty sure we can throw up the draft again while we're waiting for the players to actually get ready here. Just have another closer look at that. When it comes to frontline also, I'm interested to see how much of an impact Muradin is going to have with this now.
Muradin on this map in particular has been floating around pretty often in terms of... Oh, hang on there. We should go ahead and join this game, Caldor. Thank you, Caldor, for helping out. Muradin's been running a lot of the Stormbolt talents. Usually at level 1, you see that perfect storm coming in there, and it comes down to the adjustment at the level 4. Do you need the second pop that comes around for level 13 if you need to be more tanky, or you can go into the full Q build and help burn down those Immortals? He can be pretty impactful on this battleground in particular. In fact, I feel like this is the best map for Muradin nowadays.
I'm not sure if it's really the best one, but I would agree that he's probably the one where you see him the most. I feel it depends a lot on the team that plays him. So far, who do we see playing Muradin? It's mostly Dignitas, actually. Yeah. More so than anyone else. This time we have Expert with Muradin here, and I would say we see most of the time on this map, since you have the extra stack on your level 1, you have a lot more damage also when you're trying to look for burst. What I think would be cool if we see a bit more of a focus at some point onto the Sledgehammer on 4, which we have seen in the past. It's quite understandable why teams moved away from this, since you are trying to have more survivability with Muradin. But it was always cool to just see how much damage he can do against structures and against the Immortal once you get a decent stack going on your level 1 talent.
Yeah, if the Sledgehammer comes in, you just make the call on your team to move in for the engage and try to fight. And let's move in to the game here. Battlefield of Eternity, game number 3 between our two teams. The Expert and Dignitas facing off, and they'll charge in the battle.
So as we said before, we're having currently to the left side here, JPL rocking the Anubarak. We talked about Meno, of course, being on his Li Ming, the mage, seeing Snitch on Karazim, Zelia on Illidan, and we have Bakery on Uther.
Expert on the right here, ADRD on Tassadar, Kirsten on Ariel, Nick on Tracer, a Thorough on Sonya, and Bad Benny playing Muradin. What level 1 are you going to pick up, Mr. Muradin?
I would be surprised if it isn't. Actually, I mean, you can argue about both. If he's the frontliner here and you see the constant poke coming in from Li Ming, you can also simply go into the regeneration, just improving the trade a bit so that you can eat that damage and then still heal up, that none of the healers has to deal with you at this point. There's definitely a lot of options that you have in Muradin. It's one of the cool things about him that his talent depth on a lot of the talents is pretty high. We still have the Illidan up against the Sonya at the top, so none of the supports is making a way over to that solo lane to help out here. And Muradin decided that against Illidan, and I guess also Karazim, block would probably the most helpful tool here.
Interesting pickup there. Let's see. I mean, it makes sense, obviously. I was actually leaning a little bit more towards that third win because of the Li Ming pick that you mentioned, and that way my Oriel and my Tracer, or my Tassadar, can focus on the Sonya and my Tracer. But, block gonna work out there, especially when Karazim drops off the punches. And interesting to see Snitch on the Karazim, Bakery on the Uther here. It's just so weird to see Bakery not on Karazim when he's here for Dignitas.
Yeah, oh, there comes the damage. Nearly as ADRD shifts away. It's really funny now to have Mena again back on the Li Ming, because after the first game in particular, we had a bit of banter going here between Fnatic and Dignitas. You know, Shrimpy was immediately starting to call out Mena and saying, Mena is my favorite support player in Europe, which Mena, of course, didn't take too kindly to, immediately replying, are you flaming me, bro? And of course, it was after the first game, but Mena said, don't worry about it, I will bring back the Li Ming, I will bring back the mage power, and that's the game that allows him to show that off. It is his most iconic hero, and we have said that before. In the past, he single-handedly, after getting resets, has destroyed the opponent's team, and that's what he's going to look for here.
Yeah, it's very apparent that he's not a fan of playing support, but he's willing to do it for his team. That's what makes him a great player here. But when he's on a mage man, he will shut down opponents like no other. Now, the Immortal race begins for both of our teams at 2 minutes, and the Immortal phase in the bottom has taken poke as Team Expert's done pretty decently. However, with Illidan being on the top, Team Expert is having to peel off Sonya and Tracer to go focus Illidan.
Yeah, Illidan is still up at the top and being pressured back. Tracer, of course, just zipping away. Nick has shown off some great Tracer play already. But for now, it's the gank at the bot lane that they have to worry about. Bad Benny jumps out and is able to get away.
Wow,
activates the trade here too.
Stepping up there, calling out the teammate. Bad Benny dodged out in the impale, and with the teammate strike popping out, Bad Benny was able to survive. But the Immortal, maybe not so much here. As a Thorough and Nick rotate in and get it low.
It's a high-stakes game, and you can already tell both of the teams are really putting the effort in. In this case, we're having Tassadar deciding that he wants to go for the extra armor over the life leech. So more so worried about the burst that comes out from Li Ming in particular, and also about the front line, trying to help them out.
Bakery keeping up in the front here. The Immortal halftime show has connected, and Team Expert has a pretty substantial lead.
I actually want to talk about the Tassadar talent just for a second, since a lot of people with the Tracer as a combo are probably looking at it and are a bit confused by it. The main reason is that you really want to also help out Muradin and Sonya, and you can't really do that with a life leech since they will not benefit from it that much. So when you throw out the shield as a Tassadar onto the front line, it's much better to have the armor. So Sonya and Muradin are going to benefit way more from that.
Does mean that Nick will have to be a bit more careful with his engages. His lifesteal won't be as effective, but still great. And then Kirsten will have to bring out a few more heals. But the idea of keeping your tanks nice and healthy and having that armor is always a solid one. Team Expert grabs the first Immortal of the game, and they'll start pushing in that top lane, while the experience lead for both our teams seems to be a bit similar.
Yeah, we have also for Dignitas now a situation where they are giving up an early Immortal. They need Illidan to become a bit stronger, and that is exactly one of the reasons why you would wait here. Unless you find an option or an opportunity to snowball this a bit, you're willing to miss out on a few of the early fights. If you commit too hard and you lose an Illidan there, you lose the Immortal too, then you are going to suffer way more. But this is of course great for Experts to set themselves apart a little bit, which they're trying to do by taking the structures down. And the best case scenario would be the fort taken down, but that is unlikely to happen as Dignitas just wails away and even looks for the kill.
Baker comes in with a stun, but with the shields being here for Tracer, she's not being popped off. but you are correct in your assessment of whether this fort would go down, only taking about a little over a quarter health, and will stand here nice and tall. Dignitas, on the other hand, has peeled off Illidan and stayed on that bottom to keep soaking and even look towards grabbing mercenary camps. In fact, they go to invade the top and realize that Expert, they haven't made a play yet. They're just trying to match here in terms of muscle.
And another thing that is extremely important here to point out is that we have a few talents adjustments. And this is always one of the things it's just the beauty of Heroes of the Storm in general. And the most important talent that we're actually seeing at this point is when you look at the Muradin, his level 4 choice. So he was, in this case, now trying to slow down the auto attacks of Illidan even more. It's a very traditional talent to pick up. Normal build is to go for the Thunderburn and then combo it off with a healing on level 13 later on. But in this case, it is the Reverberation that we're having. And this is very reminiscent to what we have seen roughly a year ago, when against any Illidan build, you would immediately use a Muradin with Reverberation. The whole idea is that you reduce his attack speed even more. And if you can shut down Illidan's attack speeds, then he is losing all that momentum he gains through cooldown reduction and self-heal. So it's a cool adjustment to see on the side of Muradin, and it explains even a little bit more why Tassadar goes into his armor talent on level 4. Because if Muradin has that self-heal through the Thunderburn and the healing static synergy, then he is less reliant on the supports helping him out.
That's impressive how with one hero coming into a composition, Team Expert has changed out that Muradin build. It's an old school build, but it's one that's very effective at shutting down that Illidan. I can say that when you play Illidan and you get hit by the Reverberation, you actually hate life for a few seconds.
And it's not only the Illidan, it's also Karazim that you can affect with it too. So there's definitely a lot of value that they have, and it shows the priority of Expert. But this is really one of the things that shows clearly that depending on what you play against, think about what is the biggest threat and if a talent adjustment would be necessary for you. And at this point, Team Expert, they are doing very well here, playing very aggressive.
They do fall behind in the Immortal race, though, which is a bit unfortunate. Team Dignitas is able to set up and siege on this left side, so Expert is forced to be in a spot where they actually come here and contest. Sonya has peeled off to work on the other Immortal, which indicates to Dignitas they should go for an engage. JPL will lead the charge and drop the Impale.
Yeah, Aethero, on the other hand, working on the right side, but the halftime show has been reached by Dignitas. And Mene with Calamity has now a super important tool. He likes to be aggressive. He wants to be in the opponent's face, and this is what he's going to try and do later. Great combo already hit by the mage of Dignitas. Expert still pushing up here. For now, of course, also trying to defend their own Immortal, as it is already down on 50% HP.
I'm going to watch the Mene here, as he has shown multiple times that he is willing to delete Tassadars off the battlefield if he's given the chance here. He's done it a couple times behind our backs, actually, in commentary. So yeah. I'm going to watch Mene, I'm going to watch ADRD here, because if he gets focused down, that Calamity is going to come in handy.
Mene is definitely one of the biggest threats on the side of Dignitas. If you give him one of the mages that he excels at, he can annihilate an opponent's hero within a second. But both of the teams are working towards the 10, and Team Expert is way faster with it. They're doing extremely well here. Now even putting the pressure on the JPL. If they get the heroic ability, Dignitas will soon have to back off. And Dignitas is playing with fire here.
They are playing with fire. They know they want to burn down the Immortal. If they can win the Immortal race before 10 hits, it would be great for them, or even get a pick off. They're not quite getting it, though. Expert is well aware of the intentions of Dignitas. Orb does connect with ADRD. He is alive on the side. Nick will get the shield. He starts to move forward, and they are sitting on top of Mene. The Pulse Bomb goes off. Will be healed there because of the armor, but it's not enough. Li Ming falls, and Expert hits 10.
That's the 10, and they need more than that. They need to take at least Illidan down. Oh, Aethero again with the leap, but misses it. They still will be able to take Xayah down. That's a double kill. But it is a high shield Immortal that we have for Dignitas. They won't get a lot out of it, since Experts should be allowed to simply deep push it quite easily up at the top. But we have for Team Expert only one hero at the bot lane, where Dignitas is currently just shielding 3. So Aethero will have to try and at least push that back a little bit. As Dignitas doesn't have 10 yet, that's fine. But now that they hit the heroics, he needs to be careful because he has the Cocoon already.
Cocoon comes out, and Tassadar will walk forward and bring out the beam and slow it down. Aethero on the right side. He's trying to dance here, just going to the bottom left, knowing that he'll be body blocked. Hope for some possibility he can get away, but Dignitas is too good at the execution. They move in, kill him off, and we're going to have the Immortal still pushing in the top.
But also an unnecessary death. You know that your opponent is about to hit the 10. You won't save the wall anyways, so he should have moved back way earlier than that.
Sure.
But overall, Tassadar was there for the experience, so that's fine, but they lose the fort. And if you think about it, right now, they have still taken a lot with that Immortal.
They really did.
Even though they had a later 10, they lost 2 heroes, they nearly killed the fort at the top, and they took down the one at the bot lane. So it's still a massive win for them, even though they lost those 2 heroes.
Yeah, they lost 2 heroes, but in exchange, they almost got 2 forts. The other one's pretty low, and they got a kill. So 2 kills for 1 kill, 1 fort, and an almost dead fort. That's Value Town right there, and Team Dignitas got to be happy about that one. Expert will need to make sure on the next Immortal phase that they start getting kills, or at least win the Immortal race, because right now, Dignitas, with them hitting level 10, they have the Engage, they have Divine Shield, and they have the blow-up potential.
Yeah, the Hunt in particular. I love that Hunt is meta now over the Metamorphosis.
Same.
Just simply because it is so fun to watch and cast. It is absolutely great that this has become now very normal. And I actually really also, while we're talking about Hunt, I really enjoy that we have more leap coming in from Expert. They showed that already once, and in this game, yes, he missed the leap, but still, it is beautiful.
Missed the leap, but still heard the sound effect, which is the most important part of that leap. Gilly, in particular, will let you guys know that at home. Ask her later for the sound effect. She absolutely kills it.
I still don't think that North America has sold on it yet. I feel we have to get Gilly in for one of the A-Team Expert casts just to make sure that she gets a shot at it.
We need a PSA for North America. Gilly says play leap.
So, for now, bot lane, Sonya holding the experience. It's all about the 13 right now. 13 when the Immortal comes into play. And both of the teams should successfully pick up the talent. But Expert, they are defending up to the top now their own fort. And getting that wave cleared and that camp, of course, that's going to be their highest priority. And should also get the level 10. Down here on the other hand, oh, sexy! Dodging the cocoon by leaping. Now the problem is that your cooldown on the cocoon resets to 10 and it's ready again, whereas leap is now still on a 60-second cooldown. And that is, yeah, that's one of those mechanics that a lot of people are not really happy about these days.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate, but maybe they can turn it around. They still have their Sonya that allows for them to at least defend here. They got 13 before their opponents 2. So Team Expert will move in. The Hunt comes out. It's going to be on Murden. He's getting focused down. The Immortal is burning through here. A thorough low on health, and he is going to die.
Yeah, he's going to die, and now he didn't have the leap to jump out there. There's a big discussion that is going on right now with the reset on the cocoon, because basically Dignitas in that fight traded. They did only gain a cooldown. They traded a 10-second cooldown for a 60-second cooldown, which is perfect for them. And when the fight actually started, it became a massive problem that leap wasn't available for Sonya anymore. I can tell you that Ethereal right now is extremely salty about that.
Well, for now, Team Expert continues to hold at the moment. A few cooldowns were actually traded out there on the top left as a couple kills came in. Team Expert going to take the opportunity to burn some of the Immortal down. Now, Sonya is back as well as Bad Benny. Age is being used, but the Immortal stun props Tassadar up into the air.
And in comes the Hunt. So Sonya is back by now and has leap, could use it, but gets also pushed away. Bad Benny low, stun comes in against Curson, and we see Zelia just murdering Murden here. This is Dignitas gaining so much momentum. Again, the cocoon. Do they get the stuns? Of course they do. But Ethereal still able to get away as he gets a tiny window where he can use his ult.
The leaps are being used for disengage, not engage. Nick looking for a kill. He's going to recall back, and Team Expert seems to be staggering deaths and falling desperately to Dignitas. As Dignitas will finish up the Immortal, or at least get us up to a spot where they can get the halftime show. But Dig right now in a really solid spot as their Immortal is much more healthy.
Yeah, Dignitas is looking quite strong here. They are now all of a sudden the ones that are dictating what's happening here. So we have them in a slight experience lead, but they are racing the Immortal down, and they are there with 5 already, trying to burst it as fast as they can. So they're going to win another Immortal, and this time they are on the map with 5 heroes, so they can just execute a much stronger push.
Yep, they'll be pushing in this top lane. Team Expert's looking at fight now. They know that they want to fight, so they have an easier time defending, because their defense is pretty mediocre. In fact, I would say it's less than mediocre, as Tracer is the one that really has to move forward and really be on that spot, as well as Sonya. But that opens up the opportunity for Dignitas to move in and poke.
If they can get maybe a good leap on a target, but that is going to be quite rough. Ideally, you set it up by using Murden, Stormbolt, and then getting a chain stun going, but that's definitely tricky. Illidan jumps in here once again. They're already zoning them a bit, but that Immortal has still shields available, so he is still ranged attacking. Once that the shield is gone, the Immortal switches from a range to a melee attack, and will have to get much closer to those towers, so it's easier to take down. And that's what they're doing right now. Here comes the leap into the back. They nearly get the kill against Mene. He gets away. Tracer tries to finish him off, but the Divine Shield comes out. A small problem with the coordination here, but that was very scary.
Still a big leap, hitting 3 people, which does force Dignitas to pull away from the area, which will allow Team Expert to focus down the keep in the top right. Team Dignitas instead will head to the bottom and at least open up a turret here to move towards 16. They have to be careful though, as Team Expert was willing and has shown that they will chase if the opportunity presents itself.
I love that. That was a really cool move. The rest of the team was a bit slow on this, but it was half a second that decided about Mene dying or living here. And if he falls, then they might be able to get even a second kill after that. But as it stands, we have Dignitas barreling through the wall at the top and threatening the keep, and we have them in a lead in experience. So the 16 talent has dropped for them. 4 kills against 2 overall. Illidan comes in with a hunt, 7-sided being used, Cocoon on the ground, and they're going for it.
Everyone on Team Expert actually went in there to tank that damage from 7-sided strike. A Thorough is low on health, but still alive. Hope coming in from Curson. Bad Benny on the back left, dealing with Zalia. Zalia looking for a kill. Can he get it? Uwa comes out. Illidan gets focused, and Expert is able to get a kill. It's a 1-for-1.
They trade 1-for-1, which is fantastic for them considering that they are talent down. Also, because Curson missed the Aegis. When he was trying to save Tracer, Tracer went for the recall, and that's why instead of hitting Tracer, he hit himself. And that was actually a big problem for them there. This is one of those panic moments when everything's on the line and either Tracer didn't call the recall or he didn't call it the Aegis. Whatever happened there, it was a bit of an overlap, and that can bring you in a really awkward position. But them killing Illidan was huge because he would have been able to hunt them down.
Illidan's up in 5 seconds with another hunt. But Expert with that kill were able to get pressure off of their keep in the top right, so they keep it alive, and they also hit 16. So even talents for both of our teams. However, Illidan and Li Ming at 16 getting power spikes. That Mirror Ball in particular, pretty aggressive against Immortals.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. Mirror Ball is fantastic here. But we also have now additional stun on Muradin, and that just adds to the chain CC that we have with Leap, Storm Ball, then getting the Dwarf Toss into play. So there's now a lot of aspects on Expert where they are looking for that 1 kill. And their primary target next to Illidan is going to be Li Ming. If they can drop Mene, that would be great for them, and it would be way less scary what Dignitas has on the field, since the resets are a big part of what Dignitas is trying to accomplish.
It's all about layering the leaps and the stuns for Team Expert. Can they hit it, and will Bakery be in a spot where he can save his teammates here? The heals coming out, as well as the Divine Shields, will need to be pivotal for his team. JPL taking harassment from Nick. Nick goes in and applies pressure on Snitch.
Now they're going for the Immortal Spell. Hun comes in, they go for Sonya, try to blow her up, and Aethero jumps out once again, gets the shield immediately, but that's not quite how you want to use that leap. So right now he is still safe. Cooldowns were traded, but they are still attempting to push in.
I really feel like Curson, if he would just use the Aegis when the hunt comes in, that would stop the aggression coming their way, and then they could go in for a counter engage with the hunt. Regardless, Team Expert moves in and they harass.
I agree on the Aegis. He might have been a bit out of position and said, I can't help you here, but here we have it. Aegis comes out, Aethero moving in, 7-sided being used. They're jumping on Mene in the back. The Divine Shield saves him, doesn't even take damage. Bad Benny still in the middle of them. Murden not dying. Heal after heal. They go for Aethero. He's still alive, but falls finally. Can they take Uther? No, they cannot.
Curson is clapping though like a seal on the left side. Gonna keep Nick alive, just barely with Attainment Strike. Can Nick come in and get the lifesteal he needs to get a fight? Mene brings out an orb and he hits Tracer in the face.
Tracer down, Murden isolated, and this should be the end of Bad Benny. He tries to escape, but small chance of that happening. More shields taken down as we see the escape, or the attempted one. JPL wants more kills. They already have 3, and they will claim the Immortal here once again.
The Immortal being grabbed by Dignitas. Expert put up a fight. They got the other one low, but there are keeps in trouble for them now, as Team Dignitas will be able to back home Hearthstone, grab a bunch of mana, grab some health as well, and push as a team towards that bottom lane.
Yeah, in that bottom lane, this is, of course, another key that is going to be assailed now. We have 8 kills versus 3, and it's only 1 level in experience lead. But if Dignitas now takes towers and maybe the keep itself, even if they cannot make the play for the core, the big advantage they have is that level 20 is so much closer for them, and it will allow them to even be more aggressive. But talking about that last team fight, I absolutely agree with what you said earlier. If Kirsten hits that Aegis just a bit faster, and we do not see Leap as a cooldown used to disengage, then Expert has more kill potential trying to use it as an opening in the fight.
Well, they have maybe one more opening here. The Aegis is a bit late here. Zelia comes in with the hunt. We're going to have a thorough living, though. He is full health, and he can use a leap as an engage. Tassadar on the back left is low on health. Snitch goes in for the kills. Curson brings up the heal. Can ADRD get away? He has a shield.
Wow.
Zelia going in. Divine Shield has been popped.
But Tassadar is alive. Tassadar still lives, and they still have their leap. They can see if they have a chance on maybe jumping on someone here. They're trying to. Nick is chasing, but Bad Benny is so low that they can't do anything yet. But they go straight for that Immortal once more. Biggest concern is still the level 20 for Dignitas. Expert would have loved to chase here and take a kill.
Expert agrees with you right now. They are well aware of that 20 being a threat, and they are looking for a fight. You see them as a group of 5 in the bottom, chasing after Kirazim and Uther. And right now, Dignitas is thinking about grabbing the Mercs on the bottom, but Murden, with the engage here, will be able to scout out the members on the left side. Expert takes the Mercs themselves, while Illidan grabs top lane.
Yeah, Dignitas is going to let this one slide for now. They know that they have all the time in the world. They are nearly on 20. And up to the top, Li Ming and Illidan, if they take another wave here and then rotate to the rest of the team, they will have Storm Talents for the next fight. And that's what the experts have to be afraid of this. Team Expert on the retreat, and they also need to send someone to the top lane, obviously, since this camp is starting to push against the last remaining keep they have. And that is going to be Sonya.
Expert going to be looking for 20 themselves. Dignitas is about to hit it. The Immortal will be spawning in about 30 seconds, so they can be around level 19, 19 and a quarter potentially. So Expert will be close to 20, but not quite there. Dignitas is going to look to take that advantage and push forward and try to get kills. In fact, they're invading here. They're going straight for ADRD. Curson as well, taking damage.
Nick moving away. Bad Benny and Thero, are they engaging into this? Do they see an opening for a stun combo? Seems as for now they don't. And Dignitas is willing to, for now, just say, all right, you take the camp, it's fine. We will fight over the Immortal and take our own camp first. We still can take that level 20 fight whenever we want. And there's no way you're going to soak that entire level until the Immortal's on the map.
And the Immortals are here in 9 seconds. They'll be up for grabs. The 19th's not even here for Expert.
I really like that Dignitas moved back. They didn't feel that this is the position where they want to fight. It was too cluttered. They said, guys, we have so much time on 20. Let's not just force the fight because we want to force a fight. Let's force it in the right circumstance on a ground